I am not being sarcastic when I say this. Color me absolutely shocked. Cade Cunningham made his return from injury before the regular season ended in this game against the Milwaukee Bucks.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I am your host, Coop Cahill. Later on in the podcast, we will discuss the playoff rotation. What could it look like? Who could be on the outside looking in? And then also a little bit later, I want to talk about how the Pistons now, getting some guys back, gearing up for the final push to the playoffs. It's looking good, man. We're getting excited. It's looking good. But we're going to start, obviously, with the shocking news. I did not expect this to happen at all. The Pistons beat the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. That was expected. They find themselves up by 30-plus at one point. That was, I think, overall expected from them tonight. But Cade Cunningham, he made his return. He made his return in this game after suffering an injury that I think most of us believed he would be out until game one of the playoffs. But he's made his return with 3 games left in the regular season, and I did not see that coming one bit. When Cade suffered the injury and he was diagnosed with this, everything I had heard from people close to the situation was they were expecting him to be out until game one of the playoffs. That was the expectation. He'll be back for the playoffs. We're not worried about him missing the playoffs. It doesn't seem to be that serious, but we don't expect him to be playing in the regular season. So for him, 22 days later, to now make his comeback during the regular season is absolutely crazy. And he looked about as good as you could have possibly expected someone who missed that amount of time due to a collapsed lung, having to get his playing shape, get his stamina back in order. Looked about as good as you possibly could have expected. 13 points, 10 assists, a steal, a block. He shot 6 of 11 from the field, 1 of 2 from deep. Had a really nice block in the left corner after turning the ball over. The Pistons were already up by 30, but he runs down the court, jumps, and blocks a shot in the corner. Crowd goes crazy, ends up getting subbed out at that moment. But he looked good. He was moving good. He was playing like himself on both ends of the floor. He didn't look too gassed. At times, it did look like he was getting a little tired, but it didn't look too gassed. Overall, he looked really good coming back from this injury in the amount of time that he had off. There were a few plays where you can obviously see that, he's knocking off some rust. Like, he had a few turnovers when he kind of just, one where he just lost the ball, another one where he kind of just got taken from him from behind. Someone poked the ball loose, and he kind of was just, like, shocked. Those are ones that you can see, that's that. He's knocking the rust off, and it's good that you're getting this out the way during the regular season and not in the playoffs. I did not expect this. I was absolutely shocked that he was cleared to play tonight. I did not expect him at all to play during the regular season, but this was great for him. He looked good. I know he was pushing to play. He wants to play. He wanted to play. He didn't want to miss too much time. He did want to get back out here and knock some of the rust off. And I thought he looked really good. I thought he looked really good here against the Milwaukee Bucks. He didn't look like peak Cade Cunningham, but he looked like really good Cade Cunningham when you factor in how long he had been out. The other part of this is, I know a lot of fans are talking about this. I know even the broadcast was bringing this up with Cade, and that is he's trying to make it for the All-NBA teams. They were even tracking his minutes throughout the game. Like, the broadcast was bringing up how many minutes he was away from 20 minutes to qualify this game. And I hate to be the Debbie Downer and bring the bad news here, but I don't think even if he plays the rest of the games, I don't think he can make the All-NBA team. He's at 62 games played on the season. You have to play 65 to qualify. But one of those games was the game he got hurt. He didn't get the 20 minutes in that one, so that one doesn't count. So technically, he's at 61 games qualified. If he plays the final games, he'll get to 63 games played. He'll technically have played 64, but qualified, that matter towards the All-NBA ballot, he'll be at 63 games played. Now, I understand that there's this exception that you can file for that everyone's talking about. It's the one that Luka can apply for. If you get to 62 games, you can file an exception or a complaint, whatever it's called. File something to where you can say, it was serious, extraneous circumstances that kept me out. You need to make an exception here for me. I would have hit 65 games if it wasn't for this. You need to consider this. It wasn't because of this. It wasn't because of that. My situation's different, all that kind of stuff. So if he did foul for that and it was approved, then, yeah, he could make the All-NBA team. However, everything we have heard from Adam Silver, and look, you guys know I disagree with this. I think I was in support of the 65-game rule at first when it was first made. I have now slowly left it because we are now looking at an All-NBA team that has the chance of not having Victor Wembanyama, Cade Cunningham, Luka Doncic, and Anthony Edwards, among multiple others, not making the All-NBA team because they missed the 65-game rule by like 2 to 4 games. That's utterly ridiculous. If we have All-NBA teams with those guys that are clearly All-NBA players, and you're trying to tell me that insert X player is more valuable than them because they played 4 more games than superstars, yeah, I think the 65-game rule has completely missed the mark. It was supposed to be for load management, not for guys actually getting hurt. But you guys know where I stand on it. But everything we've heard from Adam Silver, he has been not just like, it'd be different if he was like indifferent and leaving the door open. He has been pretty aggressive when he's been asked about it at the All-Star break. I believe he was asked about it a little bit after All-Star break when Cade's agent put out that statement. He was asked later that week about it, and he has been pretty aggressive about saying, nah, I think the 65-game rule is fine. I think how the 65-game rule has affected everything is exactly how we wanted it affected. We're not going to change things. We're not going to make exceptions because one player feels like insert X, whatever. He's been pretty frank and straight up about that and pretty aggressive. I don't expect him to give this to Cade. I don't even expect him to give it to Luka, who missed games because he was in a different country for the birth of his children. So it does not sound like Adam Silver is moving off of this. While I think he should, and while I think they need to reevaluate this whole 65-game rule, it doesn't appear to be that Adam Silver really cares and thinks that it's something that needs to be changed. So I know that's one of the subplots of Cade coming back. A lot of people are like, oh, is he going to be able to play enough minutes? Is he going to be able to play enough games? He's going to try to foul for this, blah, blah. I'm just trying to keep it real for everybody. It does not sound like from Adam Silver he's interested in doing that. So that's a tough part about it. Cade absolutely should be on an All-NBA team. It's absolutely ridiculous that he's probably not going to be on one. I mean, absolutely just completely ridiculous. But even with that tough news, which I think is going to end up coming, overall, this is fantastic news. I thought Cade looked great tonight. You already saw there was one possession I wrote down in my notes early in the fourth quarter, something you haven't seen since Cade went out, that you already saw instantly in this game. Him getting trapped. He ran a pick and roll with Jalen Duren. They blitz him close to half court, far out, and Jalen Duren's able to just slip, get an easy dunk because he's being tagged. The tagging defender is a guard, much smaller than him, and he's just rolling into a wide open dunk at the rim. That's the kind of gravity that the Pistons, despite them playing well without Cade, and despite them really holding their ground, more than holding their ground, despite all of that, they didn't have a guy that was able to do that and have that type of gravity and create those type of looks for his team consistently. And you saw that instantly, really, in this game. There was another few possessions where you saw Jalen Duren even have a few kickouts to the corner, getting some guys some threes, whether it's Duncan Robinson or Tobias Harris. And that's coming from, again, teams blitzing Cade, welcoming a 4-on-3, and Jalen Duren making the right read in the short roll, which I really liked seeing from Jalen Duren. I was very happy to see him making these short roll reads. One of my favorite plays of the night, it was like a 2-play sequence, and it all stemmed from Cade, and it featured all 3 of the Pistons' best players, and it's why I really love seeing it. The first play was Cade ran a pick and roll at the top of the key with Jalen Duren. They played high. Duren slipped, 2 on the ball. Cade gets it to him. Duren's now attacking downhill, 4-on-3. This one, Asar's in the weak side corner. He cuts down the lane, and on the weak side wing, which was, I believe, Tobias Harris, once Asar cuts down the baseline, Tobias then rotates to the corner, fills the space, and what that forces the defense to have to do now is Duren's in a 4-on-3 situation. Asar's cutting down baseline, which means the weak side defender now has to tag down on Asar, which forces then Tobias Harris to be wide open, and Duren then swung the pass over to Tobias. Tobias gets an open 3. He makes it. That's happening from Cade drawing the double, drawing the tension far out beyond the three-point line. That happens because Jalen Duren's a good enough passer in the short roll, and it also happens because Asar has gravity like this as a cutter in these situations. So it's created by all 3 of them, that cutting helps bring the weak side defender down, opens up the corner 3-point shot. Also, great job by Tobias relocating. That was just one of my favorite plays. And then the very next play after that, they run the exact same play here. Same thing happens. High at the level, high at the point of the screen, bring 2 to the ball. Duren slips, Cade hits them. This time it's Duncan Robinson. The exact same thing happens. Asar cuts down weak side corner. Duncan Robinson fills in. The Bucks are forced to make a decision. Do you want to give up an easy lob to Asar Thompson, or do you want to give up the corner 3 to Duncan Robinson? They've decided in this game they were going to take away the lob from Asar Thompson. That allows Duncan Robinson now this time to be the beneficiary of a Jalen Duren kick out pass. Duncan Robinson now hits a corner 3. And I feel like that's something that we obviously saw in last playoffs. I think it's something you're going to see a lot of teams have trouble dealing with in the playoffs this year, to the point where I think teams might stay away from doubling, trapping, blitzing, playing high at the level on Cade screens, because the Pistons' next 2 best players have too much chemistry, are too good at forcing the defense to pick your poison, basically. And they have too good of shooters now with Duncan Robinson around it to really make you pay. I think teams are really going to struggle with it in the playoffs, and you saw the Knicks even struggle with it last year in the playoffs. But that's the kind of thing you kind of saw popping in this game, that despite them playing really well without Cade, you just really didn't get to see that as much because teams aren't sending blitzes or playing high on Danish Jenkins pick and rolls. Like, they're not doing that. Cade, though, different type of respect. So very happy that Cade's back, and I'm shocked that he's back this early. Coming up, the Pistons are gearing up now. It's not just Cade Cunningham who came back from injury. Isaiah Stewart made a return as well. The Pistons, they're gearing up for the final push for the playoffs. We'll break down what this could all mean coming up. Wade Day is here. If you've been thinking about upgrading your space, this is the time to do it. We're talking about some of the best deals of the year on furniture, decor, outdoor essentials, everything you need to refresh your home. During Wade Day, Wayfair is offering up to 80% off with fast and free shipping on everything, making it easy to find pieces that fit your style and your budget. It's super easy to filter by style, size, and price, so you're not wasting time scrolling. The reviews and photos help you feel confident in what you're getting as well. And Wayfair, verified products are vetted by specialists, so you know you're getting quality. Whether it's upgrading a room, adding outdoor pieces, or just finding something that ties your space together, it makes the whole process simple from start to finish. Wade Day is the sale to shop the best deals in home. We're talking about up to 80% off with fast and free shipping on everything. Head to wayfair.com April 25th through April 27th to shop Wade Day. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home with Wayfair. Now I got to tell you guys about another one of our sponsors, Game Time. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena, the crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part hasn't always been so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without that hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs with the fans. You can pull up the Game Time app, you pick an upcoming NBA game, and you have tickets locked within minutes. I can tell you guys right now, last year in the playoffs, I was credentialed for these games, so I didn't need to buy tickets. But my wife saw how much fun people were having at the game. She wanted to experience what was it like to be at a Pistons playoff game. She had never been to one. So we had to buy her a ticket, and guess where I went? I went to Game Time. We were able to find a seat right below where I was credentialed at, really, where my seating was. She was able to sit right below for great pricing. She got to see the view from the seat before we even purchased it. Again, great pricing, great seats, very easy, very safe, all of that stuff. We did it through Game Time. We always purchase our tickets through Game Time, and she absolutely enjoyed her time at the game. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com, with Game Time. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Make sure if you guys are listening to this today, most of you guys probably are listening to this Thursday morning. If you are interested in watching or listening to the Locked On Pistons Squad Show with Lindsey Hunter, two-time NBA champion and former Detroit Piston fan favorite, if you want to listen to us record that episode together, we will be recording today, Thursday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time at the Locked On Pistons YouTube channel. If you tune in live, you can ask him live questions. We'll engage. He'll answer your questions, comment on whatever you have to say. It's a live, fun experience with Lindsey. I've very much enjoyed recording these episodes with Lindsey. Also want to thank you guys for making the Locked On Podcast Network the number one sports podcast network in America. We appreciate all of you guys' support. And check out the Everydayer Club down in the description down below if you want ad-free listens to Locked On Pistons and the Locked On Pistons Squad Show. And you also get access to a Locked On Pistons Discord server. All right. Pistons, 2 games left in the regular season. They were already gearing up, but they are now officially gearing up for the final push before the NBA playoffs. And why I say that is, like we mentioned in the first segment, Cade Cunningham's return. That was shocking to me. But it wasn't just Cade that returned. We also saw the return of Isaiah Stewart in this game. And I think he looked about as springy as he has looked in quite some time. He was asked before this game. By the way, Kevin Huerter did not play in this game. I should have mentioned this earlier. Kevin Huerter did not play in this game because of illness. I'm interested to see what the rotation looks like once he's back with Cade and Stu. But he wasn't out tonight because he's just out of the rotation. Now, maybe he is out of the rotation. Who knows? But that's not why he didn't play in this game. He was out due to illness. He was the only one out tonight for the Detroit Pistons. But anyways, before this game, at shoot-around, Isaiah Stewart was asked about the process of missing these games, why he had to miss so many games, was he playing through it before, just what's his feelings, his thoughts on what happened. And basically he let everybody know that he had been playing through something. He had been trying to fight through it. And the main motivating factor was, and another reason I'm going to say that this rule is stupid, I just did not see this stuff coming from it. He said that he was playing through quite a bit of injury because he wanted to make the 65-game rule. He wanted to qualify for all defensive teams. And at some point in the last game we saw him, we remember how he looked in that game. He realized, look, this is what he said. He said, I wasn't active at the end of the year. Last year for the playoffs, I missed some time in the playoffs. I wasn't able to really play. This year, we're in 1 seed. I want to play in the playoffs. And I had to make a decision for the team that, all right, I'm probably going to miss the 65-game rule. I won't be allowed to be on any of these all-defensive teams. But this team needs me in the playoffs, and I want to play in the playoffs. So this was best for my health. This was best for the team, for me to take these few weeks off and really get to full strength so I can be at my best self in the playoffs. And the way he was moving in this game, he looked like Stu. The games right before he decided to shut it down for a few weeks, I think a lot of us saw that, it wasn't that he was bad. Stu wasn't bad, but you could see he wasn't moving as good as he usually does. He wasn't protecting the rim, or at least he didn't look like his normal self protecting the rim. You could tell he wasn't at 100%. And in this game, despite the fact he only played 10 minutes in this game, it's good to see him back on the floor. In those 10 minutes, I thought he looked really springy and looked really good. So nice to see Stu. In those 10 minutes, he had 8 points. And that's just about it. I believe he was 3 of 3 from the field. Yeah, he was 3 of 3 from the field. Again, short stretch here, but good to see him back on the floor. So now with Stu back and with Cade back, Pistons are basically fully healthy. And they don't have to worry about feeling fully healthy once the playoffs started. They're fully healthy with time to spare. They're fully healthy now with games to knock off rust, to get that chemistry back if anything was. I doubt that's happened. But just to feel good and play with each other a little bit more now that they've been gone with injury for so long, right before the playoffs start, feel good about themselves heading into the playoffs. Everyone's healthy, and in this game, I thought everyone looked really good in this. Like Jalen Duren, I thought was fantastic. I mentioned earlier, I thought that he made quite a few really good passes in this game. Duncan Robinson, I thought, had the best stretch of his season. I think it was the third quarter where he had a stretch of 3, steal, then dunk, 3. Like it was a quick 2.5 minute stretch of just all Duncan Robinson just going crazy. And the crowd absolutely lost it. So Duncan, I thought, was fantastic in this game. Ron Holland off the bench. Ron has been somebody who's been quite, I would say, up and down over the last, really all year. This has been an up and down season for Ron. But I feel like more as of late, really, he had been really experiencing these up and downs and struggling at times to really get things going. He saw his minutes cut in certain games. But he was able to take advantage of the Milwaukee Bucks and really put together a nice game for himself. In 21 minutes, 18 points, 6 of 10 shooting, was very aggressive getting downhill. He hit a few threes in this game. He hit 3 threes in this game. So whenever Ron's able to hit a few threes in a game, he's probably going to have a pretty great game. And he was able to have one tonight. He had 3 rebounds, 2 assists as well, 2 steals, a block. I thought Ron was very aggressive throughout this game. And again, like I said, when he's able to hit a few threes, that makes everything better. I think Ron needed this game. Ron needed this game, see the ball go in the basket, play really well, see his minutes get back to 20+. I believe this is actually his first time playing 20+ minutes in quite a few games. Let me back that up. Yeah, he hadn't played 20+ minutes since the OKC game on the 30th, and before then, the next 20-minute game for him was Golden State. So he had only played 20 minutes in 2 of the last, I believe, 11 games for the Pistons. So he needed to see this game. He needed to see the ball go in the basket, play well, and I think this will do good things for him heading into the playoffs. Asar, I think in the first half, he had 4 stocks already, 2 blocks, 2 steals, was good in this game on both ends of the floor. We talked about Cade. And I know this is something right here some people are going to be watching for. Danis Jenkins was 1 of 6 in this game. First game, Cade comes back and plays him. He's coming off the bench. He played 20 minutes. He was 1 of 6. Now, he did have 9 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds. So he found a way to still be effective. He got to the free throw line 6 times. So that helped. Overall, I don't think he played bad. But I see what fans and the community has been talking about. And a lot of people I've seen have asked the question, is Danis able to play this way when Cade's on the floor? A lot of people have felt like he's played really well when he's not on the floor with Cade. When Cade's out, when he's able to start and everything's running through him, he plays well. And there's people that believe when Cade's healthy and he has to play with Cade, he doesn't play as well and that he's not able to play to his best ability. I don't know if I completely buy that. I don't know. I can't. I don't know. I don't know if I buy that really, but I know that's something that a lot of you guys are probably going to be watching for. So the first game didn't give the greatest showing for Danis against that. But I think overall, the real point or the real thing with Danis and how he plays, I tweeted this out a few days ago. What determines if Danis plays well is his 3-point shot. And that's been, I mentioned this, I have a lot of confidence in Danis going into the playoffs now. I thought how he had played over the last 12 games was absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal isn't even doing it right. He was incredible. There's no words that I could use to really fully explain how good he was since Cade went down. I mean, he was exceptional for the Detroit Pistons. There's no taking that away at all, and I'm not trying to take it away even a little bit. He was fantastic. However, my one concern with Danis is that, is he a player? Now, I guess I should preface it with this. I think how he played with Cade out wasn't just about the scoring. It was about how he was playmaking. And I think this stretch allowed him to get back to that playmaking, get back to making those passing reads that he wasn't making for a stretch there, get back to playing like a point guard, get back to making these easy reads and understanding you don't have to shoot the ball, you don't have to be aggressive to score every single time. The passing that you were bringing was important too, which I think a good sign in this game is the fact that despite he was 1 of 6, he had 6 assists in this game and only 1 turnover. So that gives me reason to believe that even when the shot's not falling, this stretch helped him realize how to be effective when he's not hitting a shot. But my overall point in saying that, now that I've gotten out the way that I'm not overly concerned about it, it's just something I'm watching for, is that even when in Danis' last 10 games when he was playing really well, a lot of it was tied to the fact that he was shooting well from deep. He was shooting 45% from 3 and just 45% on 2s. 45% is quite bad. And basically what all that means to me is that, and this has been who he is all season, really. He's shooting 43% on 2s on the season, but 38% from deep. He's not very good inside the arc as a scorer. He's not the greatest finisher. He's not the greatest pull-up shooter in the mid-range, but he is a good 3-point shooter. So when he's able to hit threes, that unlocks different parts of his game. It helps him create easier looks at the rim. And obviously hitting a higher clip of your threes leads to you being more efficient. But when he struggles from 3, that's when you start to say, okay, well, he struggles in these areas. It's harder for him to get it going. So my only somewhat concern with Danis is he a player that just rides hot and cold stretches as a three-point shooter? Does he just ride three-point variance? And I think there's something to that. But like I mentioned earlier, I feel better about this because I feel like this stretch helped him learn how to, okay, the shot's not falling for me. How else can I be effective? And how he can still be effective is what was making him effective earlier in the year, where it wasn't the fact that he was shooting 20 shots a game and making, scoring 20 points a game. That's wasn't what he was doing. He had a game where I think he had like 17 assists off the bench or something. One of the best passing displays we've seen from a bench guard in my time watching the Pistons. It was how he was able to set the tone for the offense, how he was able to get them into actions, how he was able to make good reads, how he was able to create easy shots for others. When he was also scoring, it was amazing. You got the best of both worlds. But that wasn't the main part of what made Danis a really good backup and why a lot of us liked him. So the fact that he got back to that during the stretch, and in this game, even when the shot wasn't falling, he still was a very good playmaker, got the offense into situations, wasn't turning the ball over, makes me believe that he has learned, hey, I'm not hitting shots, but I have other ways to be effective. I can still be good. So not too terribly concerned about it, really. But that I wanted to say that because I don't think it's so much, when Cade's healthy, he just can't play himself. I don't think that's what it is. I think he's just a player when it comes to scoring. He just rides three-point variance. If he's hitting threes, he'll have a great night. If he's not knocking down threes, he's not good enough in other areas to really make up for it right now. So I don't think it has anything to do with Cade. I think it's just the type of player Danis is. And as long as he's competing defensively, which he always does, and being a good playmaker and good backup point guard, getting the team into offense, they should be fine. So those are my thoughts. But full strength, you got the look of the Pistons with their team whole for stretches in this game, and saw how JB maybe looks at using the rotation, which is something we're going to talk about coming up. How do we think the playoff rotation is going to sort itself out? I'll give my prediction coming up. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on, you need the right hire. This is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less time, less stress, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Now I've got to tell you guys about another one of our sponsors. This one is BetterHelp. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Financial stress is something a lot of people are carrying right now, and it's not just about numbers. It can affect your sleep, your relationship, and your overall mental health in ways that build up over time. And the reality is, struggling with money doesn't mean you failed. Sometimes it just means you haven't had the right kind of support. It's something I've thought about, how easy it is to put pressure on yourself financially without really talking about it. The stress that comes with trying to figure everything out on your own, the expectations you feel to have everything together in your life. Therapy isn't about financial advice. It's about working through the stress, the anxiety, and the emotions that come from it. With over 30,000 licensed therapists and more than 6 million people served, BetterHelp makes it easier to get matched and start focusing on what you need. When life feels overwhelming, therapy can help. Sign up and get 10% off at BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA, and sign up today and get 10% off at, again, BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free to web on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Let's go ahead and talk about what I think the rotation is going to look like. What the rotation will look like in the playoffs, what my prediction is. And this is going to be very interesting. Honestly, there is so many different ways that JB could go that I'm interested to see what you guys think. So let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at KukaHill. What do you guys think the rotation is going to be? But let's go ahead and get the starters out the way. So there's going to be a lot of talk about, will the Pistons go like 11 deep? Will they go 12 deep? My prediction is I do not think that they are going to go further than 10 deep. I think it's more likely they go 9 deep in the playoffs. So that takes up Cade, Duncan, Ausar, Tobias, JD. That's 5. That's your starters. Those 5 guys are going to be in the rotation, obviously. Now, after that, that's where things get really interesting. I think Danis is going to be in the rotation because he's the Pistons' best backup point guard. So I'm going to put Danis in there. That's 6. Isaiah Stewart is obviously going to be in the rotation. He's arguably their best bench player on the team. All defensive caliber player. We know how important Stu is. It would take something absolutely insane for Stu to not be in a rotation. He is 100% in the rotation. So that's 7 with Stu. Now, I think there's only 2 more spots open. That's what I think. I think there's only 2 more spots open. We'll do a 9-deep rotation and a 10-man. But I want to start with what I think is going to happen in a 9-man rotation. Next, I think Kevin Huerter gets minutes. I think Kevin Huerter has been really good, especially as he's played more. Last 10 games, I think he's been great. I would be very shocked if JB decided not to put Kevin Huerter in the rotation. I think that he has to be in it. His ability as a shooter, which he's actually been shooting the ball pretty good as of late. Last 5 games, he's at 37%. The last 10 games, he's at 36%. So he's shooting the ball pretty well. His ability as a passer, his ability to attack closeouts, his ability to attack space, finish at the rim, make reads once he gets to the rim, and with his size and his length on defense as well, I cannot see the Pistons not playing him in the playoffs. I think he has been one of their best players off the bench. So now we're at 8 guys. Cade, Duncan, Ausar, Tobias, Duren, Danis, Stu, Huerter. That's 8. Now, I think there's only room for one more guy. And if I had to put money on who I think should get it, I think it's probably Javonte Green. Javonte is shooting so good on corner threes. He has been so good off ball defensively. He has been one of their more consistent players on the year. And he buys into their identity. And they shouldn't go away from their identity in the playoffs, which is defense. He's been very good defensively off the ball, and the fact that he's able to space the floor with how well he shoots from the corners. If you haven't listened to the previous podcast, I'll let you guys know what he's shooting from the corners again. Last I checked, he was shooting 51%. It might be down to like 49 now. Yeah, 49.5% on corner threes this year. I mean, that's just crazy. So I would go Javonte. That would be my 9-man rotation. I'd go Cade, Duncan, Ausar, Tobias, Duren, Stu, Danis, Huerter, Javonte. That would be my 9-man rotation right there. If they go 10 deep, if they were to go 10 deep, I cannot see the future where they go farther than 10 deep. You don't see teams go 11 deep. You'll see some teams that are deep go 10. 11, I can't imagine they would do that. So if they go 10 deep, I know there's a lot of fans that probably would want Paul Reed to be the guy that gets those minutes. I don't think Paul Reed's going to get those minutes. I think those minutes will be going to Caris LeVert. And the unfortunate situation of this is that while I think that 9-man rotation would be best that I listed out, I think it's very likely that Caris LeVert will take those final minutes and Javonte will be the one out the rotation in a 9-man rotation because JB has made it clear he wants to play Caris no matter what. So if they go 10 deep, Caris definitely will be in the rotation over Paul Reed. If they go 9 deep, Caris will probably be in over Javonte. But I would go Javonte, and the 10-man, I probably would go Paul Reed. But I want to be fair as well, though. Caris hasn't been as bad lately. He has been, fine lately. Over the last 6 games, he's scoring 8.5 points a game, but he's up to 57 true shooting. He's actually been more efficient. He's not turning the ball over nearly as much, 2.5 assists, just 1.2 turnovers. So the last 6 games, he actually has been given some signs of life. So I don't want to sit here and be unfair to Caris. He has been showing signs of life, but even with that, I still think that I would favor Javonte because of what he can bring defensively. And I think he's a better off-ball shooter from the corners than Caris. And I think that probably will end up being pretty important for the Pistons come the playoffs. So that's my rotation. That's what I would go with. But I'm expecting JB will probably go with Caris over the 2 guys that I included. Let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kukahill. What would your playoff rotation look like? And could anything that could happen in the final 2 games of the regular season change your mind on anything with the rotation. Let me know again. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at KookHill. That's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe out there, and peace out, everybody.